what they used to do. They had a board.
140 people
And put it in the front room there. They put the body on that. Everybody come and visit. They bring food and everything. But the next day, that body had to go in the ground. But that's history. And the way folks had to live. You didn't have the convenience of going to a funeral home, embalming, death certificates. A lot of people didn't have birth certificates, didn't have death certificates. You know, incredible journey, but still resilient. It's still here, still working.
Tell the story of Macedonia Cemetery, I couldn't start without learning the story of the enslaver's family. The enslaver was George Waters. He owned 1,300 acres extending from State Bridge Road over to Abbas Bridge. But that land, upon his death, he bequeathed a portion of that land, and that portion of that land to his granddaughter. He was doing what we told, leave an inheritance for your kids' kids. But that inheritance not just was a portion of the plantation, and he called it Warsaw, but also came my great-great-grandfather, his brothers and sisters, his mom and dad, Sonny and Lucy. And that's when I started my search, when I found out the headstone was right here on this site. So this site is sacred. It's not just a graveyard. This is a cemetery. This is where my great-great-grandfather and his siblings, his mom and dad, were enslaved Americans, not just enslaved black people. They were enslaved Americans that toured right here on this site. And George Waters' story is a part of that story. Dumita, good morning. Question, being a descendant of Herman Ousley, how does it feel to be doing the same thing, but doing it today?
It's special, and it tells me that, you know, God is in the mix, because I had no idea about this place and that it even existed until, you know, last year. So I remember coming here. I just didn't know where here was. And when my father, Horace Ousley, right before he passed away, he told me I needed to find the place because it was something that my grandfather cherished. And to actually find it and the way that I found it, it's amazing. It was just through a conversation with a friend. And just sharing with her that it was something that my dad asked me to do, find the location of where my grandfather's church was. And in doing that, it opened the door to what we have here now.
I started my research on my family back in 1987 at the public library, and I got my research to a point where I saw a lot of names in records, but I had no physical contact beyond my grandfather, and just knew stories of where he was from. I thought our history stopped in Duluth, Georgia. Fast forward to me going into the Marine Corps, retiring from the Marine Corps. Actually, before that, somewhere around 2001, I had a gold. I hit a gold mine. I actually made contact with the enslaver's great-great-great-great-granddaughter. And we kept in contact throughout my career in the Marine Corps until I left Japan. Once I left Japan, I reconnected with her, and she let me know that, hey, they've got some things going on up in Johns Creek that you might be interested in. I think they've hit upon your great-great-grandfather's tombstone. I connected with her, looked at the records that I had from '87, and I confirmed, yes, the name of my great-great-grandfather, April Waters, but I had no idea it extended beyond Duluth. Our family story, we thought, yeah, granddad's from Duluth, that's it. Little did I know my great-great-grandfather's headstone was here. She let me know about it. I made contact with the Historical Society in 2018. The Historical Society brought me here. There were more trees and everything. They kind of cleaned it up since 2018. I immediately came up here to see it. And when I got here, I found a receiver, but no headstone. Somehow, a resident decided that started out in an organization that's doing the same thing we're doing, but they didn't have any ancestors here. They wanted to preserve it, and this was '97. They were trying to preserve this area. I made a phone call and connected with a member on the Historical Society.
Most of these headstones in here that were broken, I had student leadership do a fundraiser, and I got the money and repaired those headstones. You see a lot of them have been repaired that are cracked. A guy repaired a lot of those headstones, and I did 2 cleanups up here. That is getting up raking up leaves and everything, and telling students that you had to not touch anything that was on the ground. You're just getting leaves and twigs and everything. If you see a rock or a piece of something, piece of broken pottery, leave it. Don't touch anything. And we did 2 cleanups like that. Always up in the north. Have never done anything down to the south inside that fence. It's a lot thicker down there.
That's when my study of this area began, and I wanted to know more about it and get the city involved. And matter of fact, the mayor, who was then council member, he showed up at that meeting I had with the Historical Society, and as soon as I retired. He showed up, and that's when everything started moving. Everything started moving to make this a memorial. And I explained to him that it's not just about my great-great-grandfather, it's about all the other families that are out here that we thought was just, from what we could see, probably 50, 60 headstones. End up being more, of course. So we tried to work out with the city to try to push the move to get this into a memorial. However, they didn't really own the land. Fulton County actually owned it. So the city went through and bought the easement you see here. And they went through eminent domain to get it from Fulton County. But the movement on it wasn't that fast at first. Like I said, we're the only ones with descendants that were out here. So we pressured the city. The city finally came in and did it, ground penetrating radar, which was a good thing. Ground penetrating radar revealed there were over 177 more souls right here. And the ball started moving then. So right now, we're working with the city. And right now, what we're doing right now, we have a vision of a gazebo, emblematic of the church with pews and everything, and QR codes on the back that explain and talk about each family. So that's where we are right now. We're partnering with Georgia Gwinnett College, the archaeology department. And she's here, matter of fact, right now, they're going through a class right here at the cemetery. So what we plan on doing, we want this to be the hub not only for other African-American cemeteries that are abandoned, and an example, a model, but also for education, for schools can come in. And this could be a teaching moment right here in the cemetery. So that's where we are right now. It's been a long ride. It's been 10 years. 10 years. At any time I could have given up, but the thing that kept me going, my great-great-grandfather was enslaved. The days that he had don't compare to anything that I have to go through administratively with any municipality, statewide, not at all. So this is why I keep doing what I'm doing. And that's my story. That's our story. That's the story of Macedonia. Because the past doesn't just belong to us. It doesn't just belong to Johns Creek. It doesn't just belong to the state. The past also belongs to every family that's out here. And their story needs to be told.
When I first came up here 10, 11 years ago, there was a Macedonia sign, but it was inside the fence, made of old plywood and everything. And the city moved it out here. And I had a guy that wanted to do a project for his daughter for Girl Scouts. And he volunteered to build a new sign. And he says, you won't have to worry about maintenance on it. I'm gonna build it so it'll stay here. He did a fundraiser, a GoFundMe fundraiser, and gave me the list of materials. He bought the materials, and he built this sign here. He did a few other things too. This area that you see cleared, he cleared all the saplings out of here. and going up there. So, but this guy was the husband of a city councilwoman. And I had worked with this city councilwoman in order to get the money for the cemetery, $100,000. They only spent about maybe 40 of it, and the rest of it they put back in the general fund. But this sign has been here, and it's a remarkable story about the sign and about the early history. When I first came up here, these fences weren't here. A lot of this was overgrown with saplings.
My name is Stephen Dale Reese, Stephen D. Reese. I have a doctorate in leadership. I am the founder and CEO emeritus of the Macedonia Foundation, 501c3 that was tasked with caring for and restoring Jewish cemeteries in Poland. I'm a Fulbright scholar, working with Macedonia and the Descendants of the Macedonia Cemetery here to help them to have a better understanding of how to take this cemetery and make it a place of, establish it as a place of honor and memory for those that went before them, and to help them to navigate the terrain of working with various stakeholders involved in such restoration and preservation of cemeteries here in the United States.
My name is Domita Owsley, and I am from Linwood Park, which is in DeKalb County.
I first became acquainted with the cemetery at the request of a meeting there some years ago from the African American Historical Genealogical Society and members of the Preserve Johns Creek organization.
I do believe most of the people that lived in Linwood Park are my family.
I think it's a very important project for people to get involved in. We just here to tell the story. This is my first time out here, but just hearing the story and just seeing the history, like, it's taking me away.
A wise man once told me, when God gives you a vision, he also gives you the provision. And that's what I felt was happening once I started this thing 10 years ago. I mean, first started out with Kirk, and then later a descendant of Sam Jones contacted us, Sabrina Aquil. She came on. After that, I knew this thing was going nowhere but up. So we decided to form an entity, a nonprofit. And then later, Domita showed up, and we started growing. We're asking everyone to check out our website. We're not asking for handouts or anything. We're asking for helping hands. Resources can come in any form. Financial, human resources, your time. Just get involved, because it's not just an African American thing. This is Americans that are at rest in the woods in Johns Creek, Georgia, and we want to give them their due, especially this year, with America celebrating 250 years of history. These Americans are part of history, and their story needs to be told. I'm Madyun Shahid, the great-great-grandson of April Waters.
My name is Pam Wigington, and I'm a genealogist doing family tree research for the descendants of those buried in this historic cemetery.